The president's relief plan to ease student loan debt is accepting applications.
Less than 8 weeks ago, I announced my administration's plan to forgive up to $10,000 in federal student loan debt and up to $20,000 if you received a Pell Grant.
But not everyone is eligible, including borrowers who federal loans are not held by the Education Department. Many of them attended community colleges, private universities, historically black colleges and universities. Here now to talk more about the president's plan for student loan forgiveness is Quayneshia Smith. Quayneshia, welcome to the show this morning.
Thank you for having me.
And you're from the Dream Defenders, correct?
Yes, from the Dream Defenders.
And you've been pushing this. You've been pushing this for some time.
Yes, we have. We've been working with a lot of organizations like Debt Collective, NAACP Youth, to really push the conversation around student debt. And we're coming in to not only talk about student debt, but talk about how it's a black issue and how much student debt burden that black folks across the nation has.
So what do you think about the student loan forgiveness that the president has in place?
It's not enough. This is a drop in the bucket. Our campaign is called the 43 million, and that represents the 43 million Americas that accumulate $1.6 trillion in student debt. So even with the relief that we're getting now, it's not enough. It's going to still about 75% of black folks will still have student debt burden even after this, and only 1 out of 4 will be able to have their student debt cleared out with this little relief.
And what do you think about the timing? The move comes ahead of the midterm elections. Your thoughts about that?
Well, of course. This is the time. This is the time for promises. This is sometimes a time for breadcrumbs. But what elected officials have to really understand that we're going to remember the promises that they give us. Biden in 2020 stated that he was going to do a full cancellation of student debt for 2 to 4 year college holders for public universities, right? And so we remember him saying that. So now coming back with the pressure that has been happening on the ground and the organizing that's been happening to push this, we know it's not enough because he said, and I quote, for us to tackle this problem, we have to think as big as the issue. And we have $1.6 trillion in student debt. Under $20,000 is not enough to really fight this big issue.
So last summer, your organization traveled to the White House to push President Biden to cancel student loan debt. So as you're saying, he didn't cancel it. He worked with it.
Just a little relief.
A little relief.
This is a little relief. But again, $1.6 trillion, when we bailed out folks, when we think about the PPP loans, $700 billion, right? And they didn't even have to fill out applications. So it's just like, what are we actually doing here when we're thinking about how big this issue is and the possibilities? And he talked about it on his campaign run, knowing what this would do, especially to communities of colors, if we do the student debt, to get rid of this burden, that this relief is not enough. And that's something we want to continue to repeat time and time again.
Now, it seems to be a great equalizer as most college students and graduates are burdened with the debt. It's so scary that many are opting not to go to college because of this fear that they're going to have to pay back so much money, including myself. I told you I owe thousands of dollars still that I'm still paying to this day. What do you think about that? I'm
not surprised, right? My nieces see me and I'm burdened with student debt myself. I have over $55,000 in student debt, and I did everything I was supposed to do. I went to school. I even got a graduate degree. I didn't get out in the promise of having a job guaranteed after I graduated. That didn't happen. And not even talking about being paid a living wage. So they see the stressors, how we're still in the homes, how we still have to help with the bills, all the pressure that we're on. Who would want to do that? Who is motivated by, if the only way I can go to school is that I have to get a loan? I'm going to think of other things that I can do to try to pursue my dreams, so I totally understand.
And your organization is actually offering assistance to those who need help filling out the latest form that is easing the burden by $10,000 for applicants who qualify. Tell me a little bit about that and what you guys are doing.
Yeah, so we've been trying to host mass calls across the state to invite folks to learn about the application process, to know where they need to go, how to apply. It's pretty simple. I did it myself, and I sent it to all of my friends, so we're encouraging folks to talk to their family and friends who also experience student debt to fill out this application. But talking about all the myths and facts about some people are afraid of the taxes, right? And it's just like, it's about 7 states right now that's looking to tax on a state level any kind of student debt relief that's happened. But on the federal level, it's not happening. So we're just trying to make sure folks understand what this process is going to look like, and also the timelines, how long you have to apply for the application, but just with this little relief to make sure like everyone is doing it, right? Like we want to make sure and doing things like application clinics where we're going to be doing more things of myth busting, because not everyone have a computer. Like they don't even have the form out to be printed out just yet, but that's coming, right? So people don't have access to printers. Like that's a reality in this country. Don't have access to the internet. We saw that in 2020 when school boards had to provide free internet to folks across the state. And so we're going to be creating spaces for folks to come in to be able to do their application, but also ask some questions and get a part, join the work, basically.
And so what should students and parents consider moving forward when it comes to applying for loans for college?
Yeah, I think they need to be paying attention to this conversation, really. The reason why we're saying full student debt cancellation, because we have to solve the problem that we're facing. If we actually want to live in a free, flourishing world, debt cannot be a part of that, and we need to be looking at debt-free schools. So it's like this campaign of the $43 million is just a step in the process to say folks shouldn't have to get into debt to even go to school, that it should be a right that they're granted, right, no matter what. So we want parents, we want folks to be involved, but also for themselves to apply for relief. We know the Parent Plus loans and parents signing off their signatures to send their kids to school. So we want them also to take part in applying for this application, but to hold, again, our President Biden accountable for the promises he made.
And real fast, so playing devil's advocate here, because I've heard the other side say, well, what about those that are paid? I paid my student loans off. I paid my student loans off. So what about me if I paid? It's not fair.
That is so good that you was able to be in a situation to pay off your student debt. And a lot of people, unfortunately, are not in that situation. So it shouldn't be oh, well, because I got hit with a stick, everybody got hit with a stick as well, too. But it's just like you should be great, grateful and privileged that you was able to do the things that you need to, and that's not a lot of reality that folks face. So we should be fighting the bigger issue, not each other, right? Fighting the problem, and not that, oh, they're going to get off easy, because it's not getting off easy. It's folks not knowing how to pay their bills. When January 1st roll around, people's student debt is almost the same price as their insurance, right? As their car note. Like, it's a reality. And so it's just like, we can't think about it at an individual level. And that's what they want us to do. That's, they want us to like attack each other instead of attacking the issue.
Because my thing is, if that was the case, there wouldn't be trillions of dollars in student loan debt.
Voices.
I'm just saying.
Right? Yeah.
I'm being objective here. Anyway, how can folks get a hold of the Dream Defenders or get the help that they need if they need help as far as filling out the application? Yeah, so
we're on social media, of course, our Instagram. If you go follow Dream Defenders, we have like the link in our bio to take you exactly to the studentgov.aid website, the studentaid.gov website that you should be using to apply loans. We're having a mass call next Tuesday where folks could come and, again, talk about the application, talk about the public loan forgiveness deadline that's coming up on October 31st. Like, we really, truly do want folks to take every opportunity that they can to apply for this little relief, but also join this bigger fight. Because we're going to fight, and it's going to take people power and organized people power to be able to get to full student debt cancellation. So, yeah, follow the Dream Defenders.
Follow the Dream Defenders. Quayneshia Smith, you know your stuff, the Deputy Organizing Director of the Dream Defenders. Thank you so much for your insight.
Thank you. Thank you.
You got it.